I got some incredible happy mail, like literally absolutely amazing. And in this video, I'm going to basically go through it and do a painting of Venice using it. But first, let me just give you a bit of a background. Hey, welcome back to my channel. I make weekly art tutorials, paint-alongs and vlogs. And in this video, I have the privilege of thanking an amazing subscriber for sending me some paints. And honestly, I can't even fully express how excited I was when I received them and how excited I am even now, like looking at them. Normally, when I get art supplies, you know that I'm like, oh, I can't use them. I need to save them. But her express wishes were that I use these art supplies, and I think it is genuinely the least that I can do. Without further ado, can you actually believe this? As if that wasn't enough, she also got me this, and when you open it, isn't that amazing? Cool. So we are going to have a good time with these paints. But yeah, she reached out to me and basically said that she had some paints. Do I want them? And I was like, yes. Yes, I do. Yes, please. And thank you. And I didn't know what to expect. And to be honest, you know, I love art supplies. I was like, irrespective of what they are, it's just such a kind gesture. It's wonderful. It will be, and I can be quite sentimental, as I've been told by my siblings. But yeah, I can be quite sentimental. So I was like, oh, it will be my first gift from a subscriber. Like, you know, I'll cherish these forever. I mean, I was genuinely so confused and in shock and in awe, and I was like calling my family and, you know, super excited, and they were like happy for me, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel will get it like you, because we both love art supplies, we both understand art supplies, and we both to a certain extent understand that Holbein and Qor are amazing brands. So you can fully understand why I was so excited calling people and why I had to create this video. So in this video, I'm going to do some quick swatches just so that we can see the beautiful colours, and then I'll do a painting. I'll create a separate video where I'll actually do more in-depth swatches in case you want to know more about the watercolours themselves. If getting a gift from a subscriber isn't a reason to create a new palette, then I don't know what is. And that is exactly what I did. I bought a new palette, which I'll link down below in the description, from Amazon, and I filled it with these two brands so that I can use them, basically, because as I've found, when I have paints easily accessible, I just tend to paint more, and I'm just blown away by how beautiful the colours are. I personally prefer working from pans or turning my tubes into pans, and that is how I'm going to use these two paint sets. If you're enjoying the video so far, then don't forget to hit the like button and to consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this. I have quite a few swatching videos coming up as well as haul videos coming up, and it makes a massive difference to the channel. So a special thank you to the 35% of you that subscribed already. I really appreciate it. Speaking of swatches, let's start with the Holbein. There's cadmium yellow, which is PY35, imidazone yellow, which is PY154, cadmium yellow deep, which is PO20 and PY35, vermilion hue, which is PO73, PR254, PY110, pyrrole red, which is PR254, quinacridone opera, which is BV10 and PR122, crimson lake, which is PR177, PR122, PV19, carmine, which is PR83, quinacridone violet, which is PV19, cobalt violet light, which is PV47, bright violet, which is BV7 and BV15, permanent violet, which is PV23, permanent green, which is PY3 and PY53 and PG7, hooker's green, which is PG7, PY110 and PY150, sap green, which is PY150, PG7 and PR122. That's one of my favorite colours. PB35 is cerulean blue. Then we have cobalt blue, which is PB28, ultramarine light, which is PB29, Prussian blue, which is PB27, Payne's grey, PR122, PBK6 and PB15, and then we have the earth tones, which are yellow ochre, PY42, burnt sienna, PBR7, burnt umber, PBR7, and Van Dyke brown, which is NBR8. Then we move on to the core colours, which were like incredibly vibrant and just kept moving with the water in a beautiful way, which you'll see in the next video. And the colors are Hansa yellow light, which is PY3, Nickel azo yellow, which is PY150, Yellow Ochre, which is PY43, Viridian Green, PG18, Quinacridone Gold Deep, which actually looked brown to me, PY48, Burnt Sienna, PBR7, Permanent Alizarin Crimson, which is PR177, Pyrrole Red Light, PR254 and PR255, Quinacridone Magenta, PR122, Phthalo Blue, PB15-3, Ultramarine Blue, PB29, a staple, and then my favourite, Payne's Grey, PB15-3, and PBK7 with PV19, which is slightly different. Both of these paints were so nice to work with, although they look and behave differently. The Holbein watercolours are actually Japanese watercolours and described on Jackson's as European style transparent watercolour, which preserve the brush handling qualities inherent of traditional Japanese watercolour technique. But they don't quite feel like my Kuretake Gansai Tanbai paints, for example. They are certainly more vibrant than that. And then the QOR watercolours, my goodness, were just so punchy and so bright and absolutely stunning. And one of the things that really caught my eye is just the way that they behave with the water. The way that they move is almost as if they have a mind of their own. If it's wet, it's rushing towards that area, which is really nice to see and really nice to work with and quite different to what I've been used to. So as I mentioned, I will show all of that in a separate. As I mentioned, I swatch these a lot, and my routine tends to be that I do like big swatches on my swatch book, for example, like you saw me doing earlier, and then I also do like a smaller swatch card that I can keep with the palette so that I can keep track of what colors I have and just rough properties. I don't go into the same depth. I'll just include pigment numbers as well as whether they're granulating or not, because that's important to me. I haven't mentioned the subscriber's name because she'd like to be anonymous, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I hope that you are listening, and I hope that you know how grateful I am, and the fact that because you said you wanted them to be used, that's probably the only reason that I have like even started using them now, because otherwise I would just have them like almost on a pedestal. So I'm incredibly grateful. If you are still listening, then you are most definitely a real MVP, and I really appreciate you. We are not at the end of the video. I repeat, we are not at the end of the video. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for listening. If you're still watching, then let me know by telling me when you get art supplies or something that you're really excited about. Do you start using it as soon as you open it up, or does it take you time? Do you put it aside and you're like, oh no, I can't use it, I'm saving it? There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious to know what everyone else is doing. As you may know, I recently traveled to Venice and created a vlog about that, and I had an amazing time. Like, honestly, came back with such a wealth of inspiration. It's why I keep painting Venice, and it has been so much fun just painting all the scenes that I saw in Venice and getting to practice my watercolor landscapes. I approach my usual watercolor paintings of abstract florals completely differently to how I approach my landscapes, and for this I thought it would just be a really good opportunity to focus on layering, which most of my landscapes do, and I wanted the painting to be like really nice and really warm and have like warm feelings. So for that reason I used like really bright yellows with contrasting purples for the shadows and reds, and again just to have that nice or warm feel. So I kind of avoided the blues, which is what I thought I would do initially, and I went with it. My first layer was just a loose watercolor wash of the colors, just mapping the colors that I wanted around, and I knew that I wanted a lot of yellows like I've mentioned, and that I'd want a lot of purples and a lot of reds, so I was just putting that down. I know that watercolor will dry lighter, so I didn't mind if it looked like quite striking at first, and then from there I started building up on the colors that I actually wanted. I primarily used Holbein for this painting because I really wanted to learn about the paints independently, and I just really enjoyed the way they worked. When I thought, because I knew that they were Japanese, I actually thought that they would perhaps be less saturated or that I would have to paint differently, and I'm definitely interested in learning about what techniques are done that are different to the ones that we do in the West, but for now using it like this seemed to work for me really nicely. In theory, after doing the light wash, I like focusing on doing like the bigger shapes and putting down those colors there, but sometimes, as you can see in this video, I have to like try and stop myself from going in and putting in extra details, especially if there's something that I really like or something that I'm really drawn into. So here I started putting extra details, and then I looked back and I was like, no, I need to actually step back and start blocking in more colors, and that's what I then started doing, so that at least the painting can all progress at relatively the same time and the same space. Just to say again, I'm super, super grateful for these paints. I absolutely love them. And I also love that I don't know, I almost feel like I don't have to feel guilty or worried about using them, because the purpose of it was that they should be used, and I almost feel like I have a freedom to experiment with them, whereas I perhaps wouldn't have necessarily done so beforehand. So again, thank you. I am super grateful. I by no means expected it, but if anyone in future ever wants to get in touch with me or wants to send art supplies that perhaps they're not using, or perhaps they'd like to support the channel, then there are a number of ways of doing that, and I really appreciate you for thinking about it. If you'd like to get in touch with me with Sketches.n.Scrubs@gmail.com, that's Sketches.n.Scrubs@gmail.com, I would be more than grateful. And I have also created an Amazon wish list as well as an Amazon like essentials list. So the essentials list is more, or favorites list is more, the things that I'm using that I have at the moment that you can consider getting for yourself, but the wish list is more, I guess, the things that I haven't got yet but I'm thinking about getting myself, again, like a normal wish list would be. And like I said, I by no means expect people to start buying me things, but I'm super, super grateful for anyone who does want to donate to the channel. So thank you. But going back to my painting, it's progressed quite a lot. And I must say, I'm so, so pleasantly surprised with it. It is a colour scheme that I seem to be leaning towards quite a lot more recently, and I'm not sure why, but I'm here for it. So basically having like really warm yellows and oranges for the areas where the light is striking, and then having purples and reds as the shadowed areas, and being quite blatant with the lights and the shadows. And I really think that it worked well in this piece. The colours were so beautifully vibrant, so easy to re-wet. The wet on wet technique created beautiful gradients, as you can see in the sky, and despite the numbers of layers that I did, there wasn't like muddying out of the colours. So I really, really, really love this set, and I'm going to be showing you as I continue to experiment. As I mentioned, I'll also create a separate video where I will swatch the colours and give more information in case you're really interested in knowing about the paints themselves. So if you're still watching, then you are most definitely a real MVP, and I really, really appreciate you. Let me know that you're still watching by just saying hi. You know, I love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye. I am so grateful. I opened this package. I mean, I'm even rambling. I don't even know how I'm going to edit this to make this make sense for people who don't care about what I'm saying right now, but just want to see the art supplies. But as soon as I received them, I literally like called my family. I called my family. I was like, I can't believe what she sent me. I can't believe that. I'm just, even now, I can't believe it. Like, it's just so nice. It's one of the nicest things anyone has ever done, to just, of their own volition, with no expectation, nothing in return, doesn't even want to be mentioned in this video. She sent me art supplies, and I love art supplies. Anyway, thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, I just, yeah,